Hi, guys. I am live, a fresh face. Let me let Instagram know that I am live right now. And today we are talking about his promises mean nothing. And what I mean when I say this is that men will promise us things. They will, we'll get into a relationship with them and we'll tell them our timeline for a relationship, but they have another timeline and they have promises that they want to keep, but sometimes we help them to not keep those promises. So, what promises? There could be a promise that a man could say, I'll be ready for a relationship soon. There could be a promise where a man could say to you, I want to be married to you soon. There could be a promise where a man could say to you, I want to buy a house for us soon. There could be the promise of, I want to spend time with you. There could be many promises made, but none of the promises matter if we aren't holding them accountable. So, what I mean by this is if a man is telling you that one day he wants to marry you, what I need you to do is call his bluff. Ask, okay, when would be best? Later this year? Next year? When do you have in mind? Asking him, okay, we've talked about the subject of being married. And now, when does that look like for us? Time is such a human construct, and people often get time twisted with, okay, like, we're going to date for, like I was saying yesterday, you could have your time twisted with someone by telling them, okay, let's get married in the next 2 years. 2 years goes by, he's made that promise, you're still waiting. What's holding you guys up? Does he need help with something to accomplish? Like, is he worried about, maybe there won't be that many people at the wedding? Is he worried about maybe like for me, I feel like as I was getting married, it was in the middle of a pandemic. So there was a lot of pressure of like who to invite, where to have the wedding, where to call around. So I decided that a wedding in our neighborhood would be perfect and it would work out easily if it was just me and him and two witnesses. So I would like for you to start calling his bluffs. I would like for you to start getting some exact dates that you want things to happen. I would like you to get really familiar with a timeline that you would like to see something happen in. So, really, just calling your man's bluffs and everyone say hi to. Oh, my camera is super blurry. If you don't know my Instagram, it's Kenise. It's Coach Kenise. So let's see. YouTube live. We're just letting everyone know that we're live. But yeah, like this is an epic broadcast. And I just want you to not be so swayed by promises. The promise of marriage could last for 10 years. The promise of things could last for forever, meaning like, oh, he could say, oh, I want to see you soon. He could say all of these things, but I was talking to a friend and I was telling her, you know, even though we meet a man and we sort of tell him, oh, I want to be married in 2 years, really, we're lying to ourselves because we wanted to be married yesterday. And I want you to get in tune with, what do you really want? Do you want to be married to him right now? Do you want to see him right now? Is he not making, I mean, it's hard for me to make a generalized answer about when you should be doing something because I don't know your situation. But all I'm trying to convey to you guys is to call the bluff. So I want you to say, like, when? When would be the best time for marriage? When can we plan a wedding? What type of wedding would you want? What will we do? I want you to be not so comfortable with just having a ring. I want you to be more comfortable with having a ring and having a date that you guys will be marrying. I want you to look at nothing as an obstacle. If at the wedding it just has to be you and him, then it just has to be you and him. But guess what? You got what you needed. You got him to commit to you. And there's no reason to wait. What's going to change? Are you going into relationships fear-based? Are you going into relationships like, oh man, like since we didn't have the big wedding, it's not going to work out? Are you going into the relationship saying we did have the big wedding, it's not going to work out? Look at all the things that he's promised you and hold him accountable. Okay, you said we would go on a trip. When can we do this? What do we need to do for it to work out? Men are logical. If you ask a straightforward question, they're going to give you a straightforward answer. And what we need are straightforward answers. What we need are plans, real ones, step by step. What happens next? Okay, so you want to be married this year? What does that look like? Does that look like us getting married in December? Don't be afraid to ask these questions. Be more afraid of these answers and these promises just being promises filled with nothing, filled with emptiness. Men don't step up until you make them step up. So how are you going to have your man stepping up? And what I suggest is questions. I suggest asking him when. Asking him, okay, so when can this work out for us? When can we do this? When is the best time? Really, really asking, really, really following through and asking follow-up questions. The more, people have deadlines, like, when you're doing a paper and you have that deadline of it's due at the end of the month, then you have something to work towards. If you're just lollygagging, you're just in the motions. Yeah, we talked about marriage. He said one day. What is one day? What is just talking about something? Put forth a little bit of action his way. How can you put forth your action? How can you get what you want the easiest way possible? The easiest way possible is going to be by talking about it. The easiest way possible is going to be by follow-up questions. Okay, when, baby? That sounds great to me. When? When you maybe have a down spurt of you haven't talked about marriage with him, sort of being like, okay, I know we talked about getting married, but we haven't brought it up in a while. Is it still something that you want to do? Being very forthcoming, being very brave, and asking questions about why certain promises haven't been followed through. If you guys are popping in, please press 1 like, 2 likes. We should at least have 5 likes, it's been about 15 of you guys popping in here. But yes, following through, asking him So, I know we talked about marriage, and I'm still hoping that that's, on your list too. And I understand if it's not, but let me know where we are with the whole thing. Do you think that I need some amazing rings so you're putting off marriage? Baby, I'll marry you with a gold band. Just letting him know, like, what is okay and what's not okay. Letting him know, because if not, it's going to be a lot of empty promises. Things in my relationship did not work out until I got very clear on what questions I needed to be asking him. Okay, so when is the best time for us to have a wedding? Okay, so so we didn't hang out Saturday night. So is today a good day? Just being really brave, just really putting yourself out there, because if you are just gonna be listening to these empty promises, time is gonna pass. And all that's gonna be left in the relationship is promises. Promises of things that we wanted to do that we never did. Trust me, like, he doesn't have to promise himself that he's going to go out on Friday. He's just going to go out. So, really getting on that same energy with him, really getting on that same frequency with him of, okay, baby, when can this work out for us? Really getting on that same frequency of, okay, baby, when is the best date for marriage? Really getting on that same frequency of, do you really want this? Because I want this. And, I hope it's with you. And I understand if you're having some reservations about, getting married, but what are your reservations? And let's say he says, it feels really soon. Okay, so if it feels really soon, when would you feel more comfortable? End of the year or next year? And I'm not saying you have to wait until the end of the year or next year. I'm saying you need to really be gauging when he's making these promises. Gauge when. Set the tone of, with me and you, baby, you follow through. Setting the tone of, with me and you, things can happen in the easiest way. Okay, you don't maybe want a large wedding. Okay, I'm okay with a not large wedding. So really gauging, what are you comfortable with? You guys, if you're watching, pop in, ask me a question, because all I can give is like generalized advice. And every advice isn't one fits all. I hope you hear something that resonates with you. But what I want to say is that if you don't hold a man accountable, it will be very, very hard for you to get what you want, because men are used to telling people promises, telling their first girlfriend promises that didn't follow through. I mean, we've all heard R&B songs of, like, there's this new R&B song where she says, like, basically they had all these plans of things that they would do, after college, and it just never worked out. But it's like, you can make things work out. You can make things work in your favor, but you need to be holding him accountable and making sure he is following through. So with the marriage talk, if he is talking about this marriage talk, just following through with him and asking him, when is the best time? Baby, are you thinking this year? Baby, are you thinking next year? Gauge it, get really brave about when you want things to happen. Because if not, the promises are going to just be promises when the relationship ends. It's up to you to make sure things get carried out. In a relationship, we need a man for a masculine container, and we need a woman for the feminine container. So the feminine container can work out all the details, but the masculine container needs to show up and follow through. So as you're working on all the details, you're asking him, when? Is this year okay? Is next year okay? Is next month okay? It's just like when you're planning a trip, you need to have your room, you need to know the route for the road trip that you're taking. it's up to you and your feminine container to work out those details. It's up to him to follow through and make them happen. Okay? But yes, if you guys have any personalized questions, you want personalized coaching, I do have a group right now. You can DM me about it. We can talk about it and have an ebook out. And it's real life questions. I mean, it's real life examples on how my relationship progressed so fast. And yeah, I always tell women, like, you're making the relationship complicated. Getting married was the most easiest thing I've ever did. It should be easy. It shouldn't be hard. So, yeah, I want you guys to connect with me for coaching, connect with me for your own personalized situation, and let's talk from there. And let's get the likes up. Give me one like if you heard anything that resonated with you. And yes, so just wanted to come in. His promises mean nothing until you help him follow through. All right, guys, I'm going to log off.